Man, upbringing, man. Single mom, raising two boys. Me and my older brother, that's 7 years apart. Um, just kind of, moving around, trying to find our way. You know what I mean, in St. Louis and survive really. So I remember, um, I remember meeting you. When we moved to the north side. And we just kind of hit off. We were like brothers. We were just like inseparable because we lived right down the street from each. We lived on the same block. So we would hoop together, hang out.
So look, hold on. But was you hooping before?
Nah, man. So I played baseball. I was playing baseball.
Right.
When I was younger, I was a pitcher. And basketball was just something I did, playing on milk crates and playing in alleys, playing with my brother Evan, you know what I mean, and his homies. So I just goofed around and just kind of played, but I wasn't really serious about it at a young age because I was a hell of a baseball pitcher at a young age. So then, moving forward, our relationship took off, and we would hoop in your backyard and just anywhere, and then play on the same AAU team, and I got acquainted with Coach Pee Wee at Herbert Hoover's Boys Club, and I was playing baseball then for Herbert, but I wasn't thinking about basketball. So one day he seen me. I was waiting on my mom to pick me up one night in the gym, and I was just shooting around, shooting with two hands. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I was
got the ball up, yeah.
I was goofing off. So he was like, "What hand are you?" He said, "Are you right-handed or left-handed?" And I was like, "I'm left-handed, man." And he was like, "Man, we need you." He's like, "We need you." And I was like, "Man, I'm not playing no basketball. Like, I ain't never played competitively." So I was like, "I'm cool." He's like, "You waiting on your mom to pick you up?" I was like, "Yeah." So my mom showed up. They got to talking for about an hour, dude. And I'm over there like, what are they talking about? And he on her, and shoot, next thing you know, I was at practice that weekend. I was like, you gonna play, like, at least try it, give it a shot. If you don't like it, then cool. So I showed up, fish out of water. I'm nervous. And you know how brutal cats are in the loop. They'll let you know about yourself, so Cass was like, "Man, you suck, man. Who is this?" He's like, "Coach, who is this dude?" I'm about 6'3". I'm in 8th grade. I'm in 7th, 8th grade right around this time. And they like, "Man, he sucks." And he was just like, "Give him time." You know what I mean? So they was giving me hell, man. And I went through practice, and I can remember my mom picking me up, and she was like, "How did practice go?" And I was like, "Shoot, it was tough." I was like, "They told me I suck." And she was like, "So you gonna play?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play." And then she said, "So you gonna play baseball too?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit baseball and get this basketball thing a shot." So that was the start of it. 7th, 8th grade, man. I quit playing baseball, and man, I was just like, I'm not gonna suck anymore. And I just had that drive in me. And my older brother, Evan was always my biggest fan because he couldn't play sports, like really. He had flat feet, like he had fallen arches, so he couldn't. All he could do was teach me how to shoot. So that's all I knew how to do.
And man, Evan had a wet jumper, man. Like, even just, you know what I'm saying? Just like this.
Thing, bro.
Hey, look, man, I learned so much from Evan, man, as far as just, man, just a good person, man. It's just like just gravitating to you and gravitate to him. It was just kind of like, I wasn't the only child, but I was like the only child. You know what I'm saying? So I was an outgoing person. I try to make friends with anybody. I start up a conversation. Hey, let's look at this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And it just seemed like, just like I said, just coming around everything. So let's hold on. Let's just stay right there with baseball, because I kind of vividly remember, and I think you can kind of help me out. So you was playing. I kind of remember, because I wasn't playing no type of organized sports, and I remember, I think we got letters or something from like Herbert Hoover in the mail. And it was like, come to like a tryout, baseball tryout. Do you remember that?
I do, vaguely. Vaguely.
Because how did you hear about the boys club? How did you hear about Herbert Hoover?
Probably, it wasn't too far from us. We used to walk.
Right.
you know what I mean, from where we live. So me and Evan would walk there, walk back. You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't by myself, he would come get me, and you know what I mean, we would walk home some nights when moms couldn't pick us up. But I think my mom found out about it. She was always trying to get us in something. You know what I mean? She had to work, of course, and you know, she knew that was a safe environment for us, you know, at that time. You know, that was the safest place to go because, you know, they had video games, arcade, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because now that I think about it, like I feel like you introduced me to that. Cause like I said, I just remember I was like a street who, like I said, we was playing with toys on, you know what I'm saying, on the porch, just whatever, just messing around. And I think it wasn't until like you started getting into that. Cause even like around that same time, I remember going watching the kids play in the gym. I think they might have had games, and I was just like, man, this a whole new world, you know. And I remember kind of vaguely standing outside the fence right behind Herbert Hoover 2, I mean, not Fergie Branch 2. And I think you was playing, like pitching, playing. Cause now, did you play on the team with Sterling, Finney? You remember
Yeah,
Sterling?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
with
played with
y'all on the same team?
I played with Big Junior and I played with a lot of cats, man. We had a squad.
Yeah, because I
Like,
remember, man, I used to be like, man, I ain't playing no baseball, you know. Man.
yeah,
So Pee Wee snatched you up, told you to come, said, "Hey, check this game out. You know, at least give it a try. You know,
yeah.
now doing so was Evan like your only inspiration to just try to get better, and just was like because you weren't watching the NBA, you just was like, hey, let me just try this out, or like what was some of the tactics that you use or the motivation that you use to say, man, I'm gonna get better at this.
Just just playing all the time, man, shooting all the time. I mean, Evan had me shooting all the time. And I remember when we lived in Jennings, this was like before, like when I was
Mhm.
younger,
Okay.
before we moved to the north side, you know, we had a house and everything. This is before I met you, but we lived in Jennings for a while. And you know, that's kind of where that childhood memories kind of started. Just being on that block over there in Jennings. And I remember one time, man, we had a big enough backyard to where me and Evan, we made our own basketball court. We laid the concrete. We laid the concrete, got these big old tall wooden posts, and you know, we got a nice backboard out of wood and put it
Mm-hmm.
up. You know what I'm saying? And I can remember that the concrete wasn't even, it wasn't leveled or nothing. It was lumpy. You know what I'm saying? And all we could do was really shoot because when we dribbled on one of those lumps, the
It was
ball
gone.
flew. Yeah, so he was just like, hey, he was like, man, you can shoot. He's like, man, if you can shoot, you can get minutes, you can play basketball. Like he said, everything else will come together. So I used to watch him shoot all the time and just, on the milk crate. And I'm like, this
Mm-hmm.
boy stroke, man. And so I used to mimic what he did, being left-handed and he was a righty. And that's kind of how the feeling, kind of started to bubble and manifest. So then when we moved over there and I was introduced to it by Pee Wee, I didn't want to do it because I hadn't played competitively, so I was nervous. And kids have been playing for a long
Right.
time, so I was like, I got an edge on the baseball field, but I don't know about the basketball court. But Coach Pee Wee seen something in me, and the rest is history, man.
So what do you think? All right, so starting off, so this was right like around seventh, eighth grade. You playing, you getting used to it. Right off the bat, what were some of the challenges that you kind of you struggle with grabbing on as far as other than having? I mean, obviously, kids already being a little bit experienced, but what were some of the challenge that you dealt with? Because I want folks to when they hear this, like I said, it may be a kid right now that coming to a gym, they may join a team that kids may be established, or it might be a group of kids that's already know each other. But how did you overcome? First of all, what were some of the challenges, and how did you overcome some of the challenges? Maybe that first or second year playing.
I mean, the challenges was learning plays. My basketball IQ was not there. Um, you know, how to pass, getting up and down the floor, playing at that pace because I was on the mound. So, you know what I mean? all that.
That's the least athletic guy out there. You got an arm, but ain't
Yeah,
nobody else, man. They can be huge out there throwing the ball, but they ain't running around.
yeah, man. The pace was just, it was crazy, adjusting to that, but my will and desire um, to know that, hey, if I keep going, then I could get better at this because I was successful at baseball. So I was like, all I have to do is just give it my all. You know what I mean? And that's why I made the choice to like not play both sports because I was like, man, I could totally commit to this and I can get good in a short period of time with what I do know now. The little bit that I know now, I was like, I can get good. And I was at that age to where I was growing still, you know what I mean? I was turning into a little young man and I didn't know how tall I was going to be, but I was already like 6'1", 6'2" in 8th grade, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what Pee Wee saw, that potential. And then, I basically, man, just, the challenges really didn't derail me at all. It hurt. It hurt because, when people don't think you good, it hurts, but I use it as fuel, man. I had to because I was already in a place to where going home wasn't fun all the time. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I was like, dude, this is my sanctuary. Like when
Talk about it.
I'm playing a sport or anything, this is my sanctuary. This is where I'm at the most peace and having the most fun. So I love latching on to other people and making friends and just riding that journey, man, going on that journey. It's nothing like going on a journey and not knowing, it's scary, but if you got the faith, and believe in yourself, man, like crazy things can happen, man.
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad, ugly, and you just gotta keep going because I'm alive, I'm having fun, I got opportunity to play, and I played for free a lot. Growing up, people were blessing me, and I look back on it now, man. Like, if I would have quit or listened to the kids telling me I suck, I wouldn't have never went to college. I would have just, ain't no telling. You know what I
Right.
mean? Ain't no telling. You know what I mean?
No, no doubt. And then like what I'm hearing you say is that and I tell a lot of kids this, that even when they're going through this, man, have heart. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like just listening to that, it's like you had heart. You weren't finna let nothing kind of like you said derail you. And you was using certain things as fuel. Like we never know what may come into our lives and may inspire us to do certain things. And then once we latch on to it, that gives us our blessing. And like what you said, I feel like this day and age, man, too many kids, they look at, first of all, not really knowing what they want to do, and I feel like at an age where, you young, try all different things. Like, you gave it a try at baseball, you gave it a
yeah,
try at basketball, like you tried different things. I think too many times they have they mind set on one thing. When certain things don't go right, or they faced with some type of adversity, they ready to give it up.
yeah.
But having heart in certain things, it may not be sports. It may
Mhm.
be having heart to just, be a better person. Be, I see so many different things, but that right there for the listener, I want them to take away from that is just like, don't let nothing stop you if you say your mind is going to be set on this. Um, and then, like you said, having heart and using the game or using something to take your mind off maybe the things that's not going so good.
Yeah,
Oh man,
it's
I
like,
broke up with my girlfriend, man. I want to soak and be mad about that. Nah, take your butt to the gym. Go work
yeah,
out. Go use that fuel or that whatever that rage that got you upset over this. Bring it over here to this and put that energy into that. You know what I'm saying? So kind
yeah.
of speak on that.
Yeah, man. And if it wasn't for my coaches, man, they were a lot of the fuel too at believing in me. You know how it is when somebody believe in you, they just don't trust you. They believe in you. And
Mhm.
that's 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 like enough fuel right there. That's like half of it right there. The other half is what you choose to do with it, and your integrity, you know what I mean? On how you appreciate the people who's trying to help you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Instead of taking advantage of it, like take advantage of it, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. You know what I mean? And I knew how to take advantage of a situation in a good way, and try to maximize it the best way I knew how as a young kid. You know what I mean? I was kind of like an adult in a kid's body. I wanted to grow up fast. Like I wanted to grow up super fast, man. And it's one of those things to where, if my story was any different, I probably wouldn't be who I am right now. Like if anything was taken out, if this didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today. So you have to really, you know, just, you know, just be thankful for like the journey that you're on, the odds that you're beating and the successes. Some people don't go through certain stuff. They have a great life and that's cool too. Like be joyful in that. You know what I mean? That's cool. Everybody's story and journey is different, but it makes you who you are. It shapes you for who you are. And, it was just 50-50, man. My coaches and just I just wanted to like get out of St. Louis and be somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like I always knew that. I was like, man, when I grow up, I'm leaving. Didn't know where I was going, but I used to tell my family, like, I ain't gonna be here when I'm 18. And they used to say, "Boy, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You just young." And when I was 18 and the opportunity came, I knew what it was because I already had that vision as a kid. You know what I mean? I just had to grow into it, but I recognized it. And, to any kids or anybody that hears this, man, just trust God, man. Like, even when you don't know, just trust him. Like, you know what I mean? Believe in him. Like, he's got your back, even when you ain't acknowledging him all the way. Like, he had my back and my front and my side. You know what I mean? So now that I'm older, I got wisdom now. You know what I mean? It all comes together. So I would not remove anything from my story and my journey and my life because it's really shaped my character. And sports just so happened to be, that platform that helped build my character and shape me to who I am today.
Man, I like that quote. What's the quote you say? It's like, take advantage and
take advantage, but don't take advantage.
I'm gonna have to drop that bomb on that one, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Because no, that's real. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, too many times, man, people, first of all, they don't trust, and then they looking for a short, like a shortcut in even when it comes to relationships. And a lot of times we burn the bridges of some of those relationships that can get us to that next stage, And like you said, coming in contact with your coaches and being around that atmosphere with a bunch of, like-minded individuals, coaches that are not taking advantage. They see the innocence in the child and know, man, if he can figure it out, man, he can be out of here. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't what they can get out of it. It was just God's will. Is like, look, nah, I'm doing this. This is where God is leading me to do this, to help these kids to see something different, put them on a path, and wherever that path is going to take them, they can be out of here. So having people like that around you, seeing that in you at a young age, and not taking advantage of that innocence. And I think that a lot of folks, we living in the day and age where so many adults and so many people are looking to see what they can get out of the deal, as opposed to seeing, man, did God lead you in that way?
Absolutely.
Even though you going over there to help that kid, but it's God leading you to help that kid for all the right reasons. And a lot of times, man, folks are not doing that, but it's nice to hear that story that, folks were planting that seed in you,
Sir.
And then having that relationship with coaches. So how did that look? So you playing, you're on the circuit, because again, all of this growing up is different than what it is now. So you play AAU, and I think at the time you were going to the Kirkwood Middle School, or one of the man, because I remember that, because we all started separating, going different play. You went to Knifer, I think a couple guys on the block went to like Clayton, and I ended up going to Hancock, and that was a whole nother story. But talk about your experiences out there, and then how did you make that transition into the high school scene and just saying, look, I'm about to I'm about to take off. Because really, by the time you got to high school, you probably had played more or had the experience from when you first saw the kids at Herbert Hoover. Now, when you coming into a high school, you've played on the circuit and played a lot of games from AAU, or what was the situation like?
Yeah, so I my mom moved to she moved out to Riverview, and this is right before I'm transitioning into middle school. So we had to pick. It was either I go to school out there or I go to school in the county. So that was the options. And Kirkwood came up. She was just like, "You going there, and that's it." And because I was a kid, man. I was trying to figure it out. I was fighting.
And D said came in. I remember, man, D said came in and just had like everybody fill out applications to see where y'all want to go on visits. Here go. I actually saw what was that? I had a book that I just saw like the applications of how everybody came, like how they came in. It was just like, all right, these all of the different choice schools that you can go to from the DSEG program.
That's crazy. Yeah. So my mom, I guess she got that, and she was like, "You going?" And I was like, "No," because I was so used to being in the city, north side, south side. You know what I mean? I was so used to it, but she knew like, "Hey, I got to get him out of here." So I didn't want to go. So I ended up going. First day, I remember crying. Didn't want to go into school. I was just like, "Man, I don't want to go out here with all these white people." You know what I'm saying? That was what I said. And she was like, "Boy, get your butt in there, head up, shoulders back. You walk in there with purpose." And I was like, "All right." So I walk in, and then I see black people up in there. I was like, okay, I was like, I saw these two twins. It was these two black chicks named Sally and Susie. And I go to the office, and she's up in there, and we trying to get our lockers and everything. Just so happened our lockers was right next to each other. So I was like, I'm on. I was like, I'm in. I was like, shoot, I'm already on one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I could dig this school. So, fast forward, and man, about 7th grade, I met my best friend to this day, Nick Cooley, man. Shout out to my boy Nick Cooley. He about to get married next weekend. So
shout out to Nick, man. Yeah.
So I'm in the wedding, and I met this dude, and we hit it off. Like we just kind of latched on. And he was from Kirkwood, so he kind of showed me the ropes. And we would hang out after school, and before you know it, I wasn't going home. Like I was spending the night on the weekend. I was going home, during the week, certain days. And my mom was like, "Boy, ain't you gonna come home? Ain't the people getting tired of you?" And I'm like, "No, they love me." And, I just didn't want to come home. And then I got involved with a team there. He got me on a team with a coach there, Cecil Jones, man, and he kind of took me under his wing, and he had a heart for the youth there. So I was playing on that team, getting acquainted and acclimated. And then when it was time to go to high school, man, they was hoping that I didn't leave, what I mean, and go somewhere else, because it came up like, "Oh, your mom lives in Riverview. You might have to go there." And we got to figure out the housing situation. So, I was already living with the Coolies. So it was only right that they took me in, you know what I mean? And my mom allowed it to happen. And, I went to high school at Kirkwood, and shoot, I was living there full time, you know what I mean? Going home barely, you know what I mean? And I knew my mom, she struggled with that because her baby gone, and, he's making a way at a young age, 9th grade, you know what I'm saying? That's super young, and, but it was the best thing for me. And they really took care of me, man. His mom and dad is like my mom and dad, basically, and it's still like that. And we still rooted and linked up, true friends, true blue, homies. And I'm in the wedding. I'm proud of him. And, I was able to, have a great high school career, man, and go to college afterwards.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. Again, man, picking up on those nuggets, and I just want folks just to understand that, man. Relationships, man. Relationships is what life is made out of, and once you take heed to someone, you're around someone, man, and you you start to see the relationships can form. Man, take advantage, of those situations, because again, I tell all my kids that, you coming into a situation, let's say like a Kirkwood, like a St. Mary's, like a good school, to where interact. Don't close yourself in to where it's just like, you had that mindset for a second, like, man, I can't do this. I don't want to be around these folks and this and that. But once you start opening yourself up, now all of a sudden blessings are coming in, it's coming in from all these different directions. And you allow those relationships to keep forming and keep forming. And it leads you in a situation where, man, now you probably, one of the premier players on a premier team, enjoying high school, thriving, and then more doors open up for you. You know what I'm saying? Now you're about to get ready to, have school paid for. You're about to continue to play sports, continue to play college ball. So how was that like, as far as like playing through high school and then knowing like, man, I'm about to get me a scholarship and play some ball and continue to work, and now your mindset and your dreams are kind of coming true, because I'm able to leave that goal that I set for myself. Now I have the opportunity to have a choice in where I want to go now. Yeah. So kind of talk about that.
It was cool, man. It was weird though, because when it happened so fast. After my summer of my junior year, I went to summer of my senior year, I went to several camps that my AAU coach at the time, I played for Gateway. They provided an opportunity for some of us to go to ABCD camp, 5-star camp. So that was big. Along with the year that we had, making it to the Elite Eight in Vegas at the big time tournament, playing some of, Darius Miles, James White, a lot of those guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was competing. A team from St. Louis, we was handling our business, and letters started to come in like crazy. And my mom was freaking out. She was like, the mailbox is full.
Look, but hold on to the kids that's out there, man. Letters that you get from schools, or just like when people post on their social media how many offers they got, and they tagging folks saying, man, I got this, and we used to get letters coming in the mail almost every single day from all the schools that wanted to let you know, look, we're interested in you. Physical mail.
Mailbox looked like, I'm talking about stack, man. And my mom was freaking out. She was like, people sending you letters from all over. She's like, what am I supposed to tell them? I was like, I didn't know nothing, dude. All I knew that I wasn't supposed to commit. I was supposed to weigh my options. That's what my AU said. He said, they're going to come in, just weigh your options. Just be patient. So I told my mom, just be patient. Don't tell nobody I'm coming. And just let me finish out my senior year. You know what I mean? And kind of go from there. So we went on a nice run. My senior year, man, we came up short. We lost to Bashan in the quarterfinals to go to state over there at Flow Valley. I remember Joe Sheldon. He lit us up, man.
I'm already here. Look, because he lit us up to get to y'all probably. So
yeah, he lit us up, man. But afterwards, man, I figured out after the season I had to take the ACT, SAT test. Mind you, that is a standardized test that you had to take at that time. I don't know if it's changed now, in order to actually get a D1 scholarship to go Division I. So at this time, I'm looking at several schools. I'm looking at some local schools, SIU, the Salukis. My boy, you played there, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Played SMS, and you played SMS and SIU. Did you?
I played at SIU.
Yeah, Salukis. Yeah, so they was one of my top schools. Xavier was my top school. Tennessee, Villanova, and then I had SMS, SEMO, Illinois State, Bradley. They was all on me, but Villanova really wanted me. Xavier did, and Tennessee heavy. Like, and at this time I'm like, man, I could commit I done went on my business, everything. And they were like, what about this test? Have you taken the test? And I was like, what test? And nobody told me about this test, man. So I ended up scrambling my senior year to take it as many times as I could. I can only take the test maybe once, took the ACT once, SAT once. And then they tried to combine the scores. I had already committed to Xavier in Ohio. I had already committed. And they were gonna have me playing in the shadow of David West. David West played in the NBA. He was a freshman.
Shout out to David West, man. David West was out there, man, doing his thing, man. Where he was with the Pacers for a long time, getting buckets.
Yep, getting buckets. So he was my host on the visit, and James Posey. Those guys took me in. I had a blast. So I came back committed, and they were trying to formulate the test and figure out, what my score was. So I had already committed, had media day, everything at Kirkwood. And then my test came back that I didn't make it. So I was like, what? And they were like, well, you can come in red shirt, you know what I mean, and get your grades up. And I was like, man, I don't know. My heart was broken. Mm-hmm. So this whole time, BT, man, dude, this junior college in Odessa was recruiting me. Like my last 8 home games, this dude drove up to all of my games from Odessa, Texas to recruit me. And shout out to my man, Coach Matt Figger. He's at UT, University of Texas, Rio Grande right now. But man, he recruited me, man, and he was like, I'm here just for a safety net. And I was like, man, I'm not going to go. I ain't going. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go D1. I'm already committed, big head. You know what I'm saying? And when I didn't make it to Xavier, when my test scores wasn't available, he was the first person I called. And I remember crying like a baby, dude. And I remember telling him I didn't make it. I was like, Coach Fig, I didn't make it. And he was like, yes, you did. He's like, remember I told you got a spot here if you chose to. I was here. I'm here for you. So I thought that was so awesome, man, that no matter how I felt as a kid, the decisions that I make, how I treated him, how I walked off on him several times after games and didn't acknowledge him or nothing. He was still there for me. So I felt that I owed him at least a visit because he was the only junior. He was the first JUCO that was giving me attention. Right. So I went on my visit, man. I freaking loved it. The dudes was dogs and animals, like dudes from all over. And I was like, man, this is dope. I was like, dudes out here hooping. Yeah, and I was like, if they get me and a couple other guys that I knew they was recruiting, that was studs, just, on the cusp of D1, but had that potential. I was like, we can make a run. So I went on my visits, man. I kid you not. JUCO is totally different from NCAA Division II. So they got different rules. So I went on my visit. I didn't commit, and I'm about to get on the plane, bro. And I kid you not. They were like, are you coming? And I was like, I don't know. I had them hanging and dangling. And I'm walking down the terminal, and I remember turning around, and I was like, Coach, I'm coming. And then they was like, what? And they were so excited, and they was like, hey, we got something to tell you. They was like, we want to give you 2 scholarships. You can bring whoever you want to bring with you. And I said, I can't. I said, anybody? They was like, anybody you want to bring? I said, full ride? They said, yes. So I was like, bet. Let me get back to St. Louis and see who I can scrounge up, see who I want to take with me, and ride with me on this journey. So there was a dude. Shout out to my boy, Daryl Redmond. 6'5", looked like Mike Tyson in the face.
Man, I'm already here.
Yeah, he was a bruiser, bro. Now he just wasn't getting looks, but I knew like this is the dude that I need to go with me. I could have took anybody from my AU team, but I was like, this is the dude. I want to give him a chance. You know what I mean? And I went back to school, pulled up at his locker, and I was like, Head. We called him Head. I was like, Head. I was like, man. I was like, the visit went dope. He was like, that's what's up. I was like, they gave me 2 scholarships, bro. And he was like, oh, okay. I was like, you trying to go to Odessa? He was like, hell yeah.
Man, do you know, like, this the first time I've ever heard something like that, man? Where they was just like, nah, we want to have you so bad that we gonna bring somebody else in just to make sure that you comfortable on this trip. You know what I'm saying? Or even it could have just been like, man, we know that you cut from a certain cloth, that you ain't finna come up here with no BS.
Yeah,
So we trying to get better. But nah, man, that's again relationships. When we talk about having relationships and building relationships, and that right there, and I guarantee you, you telling that story is going to inspire somebody else to just know like that's an honorable move right there, that you just not thinking of yourself. You could have
absolutely.
just straight thought, I mean, just been like, I'm finna still try to go to wherever this school at. They probably really don't. They probably finna find somebody else to look over me, or to replace this scholarship that they're not gonna give me. But here it is to where somebody is like, all right, we'll give you two, and you looking out for somebody else.
Mhm.
Man, that's great, man. That's awesome right there. And then you make the transition to Southern Indiana, where I mean, now come on now, talk now at the time, like did you know that they had such a rich history of like just like a pedigree of like just a championship nature before you got there?
I had no idea. Had no idea. I was so in the moment on where I was. I've always been like that. Wherever I'm at, I'm in that. I'm in that moment. I'm just engulfed in it. And I had no idea Southern Indiana and Kentucky Wesleyan had this rival. Um, and it was so close to home. People wanted to see me play. Like by then, they were like, "Man, you've been gone for a couple years, man. Why don't you go somewhere close?"
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Okay, all right." So when these schools came in, I was like, "All right," but I still wanted to go to Xavier. I still wanted to finish that chapter. You
You supposed to go to JUCO to get your grades together, but also develop your game. And so
Mhm.
now you have Thad Matta, Sean Miller coming in and say, "Hey, we want a red shirt you," which again for people that are not familiar, red shirt is just basically like what you guys are doing right now. When you reclassifying in the your freshman year, or a kid reclassifying the 7th grade or 8th grade year, red
Yeah,
shirt is just you just reclassifying when you're in college. I mean, am I
absolutely.
right? Ain't that pretty much what it is?
Spot on. Hey, I like that analogy. That's real.
Nah, because I mean, you see it right now where, hey, this kid is class of he's about to go to 8th grade, but you want to reclassify him now. But some folks and some programs that they start stockpiling talent. And so what you probably didn't realize at the time was Xavier probably had some funk, and they want to stash you for when the funk leaves
Yeah,
and have you, and which is a benefit because you get to practice and do everything that the team guys are doing, and you still have your 3 years of eligibility to
yeah,
continue, because it's going to probably take about 5 years for you to get out of college to graduate anyway. So to
absolutely.
take a lot of folks, again, when we're clueless, again, I'm first generation college athlete. I didn't know, and then even with me being stubborn the way I am, same way. Man, I'm not finna red shirt. I'm ready to play right now,
Right.
and if I think back on my time, I would have first of all took school serious to where I could get into a situation my freshman year in red shirt. It could have been a different type of trajectory for myself because, all of the guys that I played with, when it was time for when the light was clicking on for me, it's time for me to go. These guys have 2 and 3 more years to play. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
that's one thing that for the listener out there, making sure that just kind of be knowledgeable of these terms that we throwing out there, red shirt or different things.
Absolutely, man. I had an opportunity to go play overseas. So I was like, that opportunity came, and I was like, well, let's check it out. Because I didn't mind hitting the road and traveling, man. I love getting out of Dodge and going and see the world. So I was like, this is an opportunity for me to go see parts of the world that I probably would never see if basketball wasn't in the forefront. So I went, man. They got me an agent, and things were fine when I first went to Estonia. I got signed and played for a team over in Tallinn in Estonia, over in Eastern Europe, and good team, And first day of practice, dude, I freaking fractured my hand. I fractured my right hand. Went up for a
Oh, man.
rebound, and me and this guy like hands collided, and I heard something pop, And I was like, man. So I advanced the ball. I kept playing. And by the time I turned around to go back down and transition, I looked down at my right hand and it looked like a rubber glove with water in it. It was just a hairline fracture right from the pinky on down to the wrist. So I was like, dang, man, my contract's probably about to be shot. So they sent me to the doctor. I got x-rayed, hairline fracture, cast me up, and then they extended my tryout period for another 6 weeks. So I was in Estonia for another 6 weeks, month and a half, and they were seeing, kind of how I fit the team dynamics. And, mind you, I was a shooter, like lefty. I shoot the mid range, the transition three from the top, can face up, all of that. So, I played my game that I played in America over there, but they were looking for a 5, and I'm a stretch 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't willing to conform to that. You know what I mean?
Right. No.
So my 6 weeks was up, and my agent called me. I remember he called me and was like, man, they're going to let you go. And I was like, what? And I was like, so where am I going now? He's like, well, I'm working some stuff out. I'll call you back. So he landed me a job in Poland, and I went to Poland, and it was horrible.
Yeah, man.
It was horrible.
Just adjusting to the culture and just you got to try to learn everything all over again. Or
they were poor, man. They were poor. They didn't have no money, man. And I didn't find out till after I had signed, and sent the contract back to one of my AU coaches to read over. Everything looked good, so I signed it. But come to find out, I'm playing. Like, I played there for 4 months, and I wasn't getting paid. Like, I had to fight. I had to fight for everything. I had to fight for an apartment. I had to fight for my money. You know what I mean? And I'm out there grinding in this small town in Poland. You know what I mean? So I'm upset with my agent at this time, because I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be helping me out. And he was like, you got to play how they want you to play. And I was like, dude, look, I was like, this team sucks anyway. I'm dropping 30 every night, and we losing by 30. So just pay me, man. Like, I'm the only player that's staying, because everybody else that would come in from the States,
they peep game and see what's going on, and they was just like, yeah,
they was like, we out. They was like, dog, I don't even know why you staying. And I was like, man, I'm optimistic, man. I was like, it's gonna work out. And I stayed there for a long time, man. And like we said earlier, relationships kept me alive over there, and survival tactics kicked in, because I met people over there. Right. You know what I'm saying? I knew how to move. I figured out the city, and I knew who was who. And, I latched on when things weren't going my way. I was just like, I can cry about it, or I can make the best of it. And that's what I did. I made relationships with some of the guys over there. They could have been mob guys. I don't know. Right. They could have been Russian mafia or something, but they took care of me, though.
Yeah, but even just going back to even just thinking about what we talked about earlier, though, man, just having some heart, Yeah. A lot of those guys from the moment of adversity setting in, man, I'm not getting paid. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a business, and I mean, and if this is your livelihood, pay you accordingly, but a lot of times we have to learn the hard way. And I kind of fell in that same situation where I was always viewing about, man, what people owe me. If you love the game, we was gonna play the game for free, no matter what. We play
absolutely
the game for free, and right now at this age, right now, get up and play. We gonna play in a pickup league, 40-0 or whatever. We gonna play. You know what I'm saying? Because we just love the game, and so it's like one of those things where, being young, being naive, and and again, not knowing, you will want an agent to kind of lace you up with what's going on. But a lot of times these are like low entry jobs. It's just like if you're going into the regular corporate America, you got to start off at the ground level and then work your way up. You're number 2, you're number 3, and you might not start hitting your stride until you're number 5 in this and using it like a hustle, or like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why you always see other folks, again, if people will lace you during the years of what you thought college was supposed to be, you would know, all right, I gotta have this hustle over here, this hustle over here. Use this as this hustle, keep my body in shape. So whenever I get that phone call, I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I got this going on too. And so so now you getting involved in the training, you like youth sports, you like being around the kids, like how did that come about?
Man, this is a guy I used to, hoop with in tournaments here when I was in college at USI, man. Shout out to my man Mitch Lewis, man, Ambition. He was in San Antonio running the program with a guy, and him and his wife, they got married and they had a baby, and they was both from this area and they wanted to move back. So, I had moved back to this area right around the same time, and I bumped shoulders with his dad at the gym working out, and he was like, Mitch is moving back, man. And I was like, oh, that's what's up. He's like, he's thinking about starting an AAU program. And I was like, all right, then. I was like, tell him to hit me up. So I was at the gym regularly at that time in the morning. And, one day I'm walking out the locker room, Mitch coming in, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? And he's like, what's up, dude? And I was like, your dad told me he was going to start a program here, man. He's like, yeah. And I was like, man, we need to talk. So we talked. And he was like, man, would you want to help? And I was like, dude, heck yeah. I was like, heck yeah. I said, you ain't even got to ask me twice, man. I knew then, like, I wanted to do it because I play AAU basketball and it saved my life. Like, just being around that and being able to have the opportunity to like give back. I didn't know what I was doing half the time, but I could encourage, inspire, motivate kids. I got good energy and kids gravitate to me. So, we started it 8 years ago. He had a vision and a dream, and we kind of rock with it, man. And, it was rocky at the beginning, starting something new,
Oh yeah.
And, it was rocky. People were greedy, all kind of stuff, man. Facilities weren't letting us do what we wanted to do, or they was taking too much money and all of that. So he went through all of that. And I just wanted to be there to help him, man. And just be there to, bounce ideas off of each other and just kind of brainstorm and just ride this journey, man, together. Because we know two or more gathered, man, he's in the midst. So whether or not anybody know that, but shoot, you can't be broken. Like you gonna make it. Like long as y'all like-minded, and we were like-minded. We both had hearts for the people and the youth. So now, I mean, we're year 8 now. This is our 8th year, man. We got one of the top. We're one of the top programs in the state of Indiana, man. We're top 3. We're in the top 3. So we got
that's
one of the
huge
largest.
coming from Indiana now. Like, come on now, that's man, Indiana, man. That's it's a hotbed for just basketball. Like,
man. Yeah. So just bringing that feel to where kids can be in a safe environment and do something, because it's really nothing here in Evansville as far as that goes. It was in the past, but people get older and traditions die off, or they're not what kids are going to gravitate to. You need some young blood to come in and kind of shake things up. So I feel like we're that here in Evansville, along with a few other programs here, but we're different, man. We have a culture, and I told you this the other night we talked, man. We got a culture, man, and we stick to it, and I decided to do it full time 7 months ago when I ruptured my Achilles and had surgery. God gave me the vision that this is what I'm supposed to step into.
That's dope, man. And shout out to all my day ones up there in Evansville, because
yes, sir.
Man, I got a buddy of mine, man. He made, I think, either they won state or made it to state, but I don't want to put all this wrong information out there. So we'll chop it up. But no. So let me ask you this: what about the current product right now, as far as like the NBA, college? Like, do you follow it any? Do you enjoy it? Because I know a lot of folks. I'm kind of in the mindset of I don't watch a lot of NBA and pro basketball until later on in in the year, so it's kind of
Right.
like it's hard for me to keep up with it. But
Right.
where are you right now? Because I mean, like I said, kids are into it. We got to be in tune and somewhat to what's going on with the product. So
Yeah,
where
for
are you
sure.
right now with the latest product of the NBA?
You know what, man? I think it's good and bad, but it's evolving though. So with evolution, things change, and you're either gonna like it or there's some stuff you're not gonna like. Things you can implement as being coaches, and training and coaching youth. Man, it's just you can take a little bit. You're not gonna like everything. You know what I'm saying? So you just take from it what you know can be used and valuable, and then you kind of apply it to what you do along with being yourself. So I watch a lot of basketball in spurts, but I'm around it so much now. I'd rather be in the gym organically with a kid, building those relationships, watching them develop, and mentoring them along the way, using basketball as a platform. So I'm in tune, but I'm on a mission. I got an assignment to
Right,
fulfill.
right,
So
right.
so I ain't even worried about the debates and all of that people talking about
Mhm.
on ESPN. I watch them, but I get sick
Right.
of it
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, these guys get paid to play at a high level. They're the most talented, most athletic basketball players, athletes in the world. Leave it at that. Who's
Mm-hmm.
better? Who's the GOAT? Who's this? Who's that? What they doing? They human beings at the end of the day. So I try to stay like far left from that as possible. And when people ask me about players, I keep it short and sweet. I just tell them if I like them or not or what they are. I keep it super simple, man. I don't get
Mm-hmm.
into the who's who and who's the GOAT. There's been a lot of
Right.
goat. There's been a lot of goats, man. Like,
Man, look, that's one of that's one of the arguments, man, that's gonna go down, man, in time. It's like, you talk about, man, who to go. Every man, like I said, that's so much, it's entertaining in that, but I'm more so thinking about like from the training space and even from like the coaching space of again, like you can't hide it. It's the game highlights are everywhere, whether if they on the phone, the tablet, the TV hot in spurts. But even as far as like trying to make sure that you're telling the kids the right thing, because like I said, I try to update my computer as much as possible with
yeah,
what's the latest that's going on, because working kids out, they may come to say, man, coach, I want that Donovan Mitchell workout. And if
yeah.
I ain't sat back, I'm giving you some pistol. I'm giving you some BJ Armstrong workout.
Hey, boy.
I'll give you the BJ Armstrong workout. They tell us, but I want the Donovan Mitchell workout, coach. I'm like, oh man, I gotta look this dude up and see what he into. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, it's funny
Uh,
you say that though, because I just like probably the last few 3 or 4 months, I've been implementing certain players' techniques and stuff that they do. I look up
mm-hmm,
YouTube and see how they train, and I kind of implement it based off the kid's ability. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Because you got to evaluate a kid like being in the training space is real intimate. It's individual, so you got to know what you're dealing with to a
mm-hmm,
degree. And I literally I watched Kevin Durant, man. I did a Kevin Durant drill. I think
mm-hmm,
you posted it, but it was for mobility and core where they reach down.
mm-hmm.
They reach down, tap their toe with the ball. Working
Oh
on
yeah, yeah.
their balance and core.
Mm-hmm,
So we start there with the heavy ball, and then we implement it in the shoot in the mid range with the
mm-hmm,
regular ball. So it gets them used to how their body moves and everything. So
mm-hmm,
you have to be up on game on
mm-hmm,
the new generation and implement what plus be willing to learn and stay teachable and add some of the new school into it to where it's a complete package and it fits the individual as they grow. And
mm-hmm,
that's the thing about coaching and training. It's like everybody wants to be a coach or a trainer, but you got to be teachable. Like you
mm-hmm.
can't coach like you Bobby Knight. I can't coach
Oh
like I'm
yeah.
Bobby Knight and
Mm-mm,
train like that
mm-mm.
anymore. Now the fundamentals are the same, but
Yeah.
you've got to be able to take a little bit from. everybody. And then my niche is post players. So that's my niche. I was a post player. I wasn't a guard, so I don't do anything crazy as far as ball handling because I'll look stupid out there. That's you.
Right, right. Yeah,
That's
no,
your
you're right.
you know
You're
what I'm
right.
saying? So I don't try to do anything for, any likes, or I stick to what I know, and then I'm learning stuff along the way. But I was a solid sound player. So I give kids simple things that they can do to create a shot or get there without less dribbling. Like if you can't get to your shot off 1, 2, 3 max dribbles, like, or even not even a dribble. If you can't jab step and your footwork ain't matching up
Right.
with your hand speed and your body, like you got to have a balance. You got to have a balance of everything. So we really break things down. I break things down into micros, and I start from the ground up. I always tell kids we start from the ground up because if your feet are not up under you, you might be able to shoot, but you can't. You don't know how to shoot left to right, right to left, curl off. You just so we gotta really spend time doing that. And some kids they're in a hurry because we live in that.
Yeah, and it's not gonna happen overnight. And even just having that conversation with the parents is like, if you're not gonna invest X amount of time into getting through this, then this is gonna be the wrong place for you, because we gonna slow walk this. We gonna make sure that now if you want to just hand over some money and I give you that DJ Armstrong and all of that type of workout, then I will, and throw a little bit of this and that. But it shouldn't even be like that. It should be, look, we're gonna just because I look at it as just like, okay, I want to be able to show you what they look like now versus within a year or two, or if we're going to do this for X amount of months. But again, like you said, it's the microwave generation where they want the instant gratification right now, and it's not going to work like that. Think about it. It's like, it took three years for folks telling us that we was trash, that we had to work at this. You can't dribble, you ain't got no handles, you ain't got this. Finding that out, to working hard every single day and getting knocked down, then coming into your own, then all of a sudden, okay, you get a little bit, and now how do you take it to the next level? The game is about rhythms, and once the kid finds his niche and his rhythm, then that's when they can finally kind of take off with this. But
you said it.
Yeah, man. So how can folks get in contact with you? What you got going on?
Yeah, man, it's Coaching by Randy Byrd on Instagram, Coaching by Randy Byrd on TikTok, and then Randy Byrd on Facebook. So simple, man. You can find me there.